Keep it there because I want to do that.
Let me share my screen.
What kind of sweatshirt is that? Lehigh or? Yep, that's what I thought. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Cool.
Let me know when you can see it.
I got it.
All right, so the first thing is I've kind of laid out a few of the kind of set up some of the information about it to level set how the process will work before I actually wrote up the process. So any member, we'll just go line by line. Any member can self-identify as an athletic trainer or fitness trainer in their profile. And that's where when you set up your profile in the sports, you say, I'm a fan, I'm a coach, I'm a parent, I'm a whatever. So I forget if of those 11 things, if we had trainer in there, I think that we did.
We did.
But those are self-identifying. The self-identification provides visibility to any content that's available to the trainer. It also provides us the ability to segregate those people for targeted messaging. It does not provide access to any of the trainer functionality, such as reserving a facility, sending group emails to their clients, that kind of thing. Self-identification also does not provide access to the trainer apps.
We're also going to have in there, if they do self-identify as a trainer, we're going to, and this also goes for coaches, there are special disclaimers that we're going to need to protect ourselves. So when that pops up, it might be you're going to need a secondary TNC for that, because we don't want to get in trouble with the NCAA for allowing a coach to talk to a kid who's too young, for example. And we don't want someone who says they're an AT to go ahead and use the resources for taping a knee or something like that when they're not trained, and we end up, he ends up screwing up somebody. So there has to be a couple of just a place in there where we say these are the special conditions for your job.
It sounds like that's more for an athletic trainer than a fitness trainer.
It does, yeah, definitely. Yeah, fitness trainers, a lot of them don't even have any kind of accreditation whatsoever.
Okay, then the verifying an athletic trainer or fitness trainer, any member of UB Sports can apply to become a verified trainer. Only a verified trainer can access the functions in UB Sports site or app, and only a verified trainer can subscribe to and use the trainer apps.
Right.
Right. Then a verified athletic trainer must have a valid NADA registration number, or possibly a valid state or local certification.
Right, and I
If you're an
found out some
athletic
information
trainer.
about that. The NATA will validate a registration number if you send an email to them and just say, we need to validate this person's registration. They'll send back a yay or nay on that person, and so we'll have some, and hopefully also a expiration date, so we'll be able to make sure we have, they're covered. And then we can let them into that. Also, there's another
Yeah,
company.
ideally, it'd be nice if they had like an API where we could build it into the app where, it would ping their servers and it says, yep, it's valid, kind of
Yeah.
inline in the process. That would be ideal. I don't know
Well,
if they have that.
They don't, but
But we-
there's a sister organization called the BOC, Board of Credit Accreditation or something, BOA. I think it's BOC though. And they do have something like that that's more automated. And I'm waiting for them to call me back to get more information.
Or potentially valid employment documentation. So
Right.
I think those three things, they're going to have one of those three things. It might be the case where you get, the employment documentation would be like some tiny college sends on their letterhead information that this person is a trainer for their
Right.
teams or something, whatever. A verified fitness trainer, this is where I'm a little less sure of it, but I would assume that they're either going to have some sort of state or local jurisdiction certification,
Might be just a
or they're
license.
going to have some kind of an employment documentation. Yeah, so whatever. Now, what if someone does I'm thinking of the guy in the gym. He's a personal trainer, but now he's unemployed. He kind of does it on his own. Do they all require licenses? Like what do we do? And I think in that case, it's probably less significant than what you want to do with athletic trainers who you're associating with students and minors, things of that nature, where there's, NCAA requirements, legal requirements, et cetera. So we kind of have to flush out that, but a fitness trainer should have some sort of documentation that they would provide.
Right.
Then in order to use one of the trainer apps, the member has to be a verified trainer, which means that they go through this application process and become verified. They're approved.
Right.
The member must also have a valid subscription for the app. And this was kind of a question I had for you. The app subscriptions are distinct from each other. So my question to you is, does a subscription to the AT app grant them access to the FT app?
Nope.
Or vice versa?
No,
Right?
AT
So
is really
if
very
I do,
specific.
yeah. So, what about the case where I'm an athletic trainer for my local college, but I also do personal training? If that's the case, they have to subscribe to both apps,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Okay. Okay. So that's a no. The next question I have, which is a little more technical, is how do we restrict the subscriptions to the apps to just verified members? I'm kind of thinking that we sell the subscription through our storefront,
Right.
and I'm not so sure that you're going to have a big issue with people subscribing to it if they're not a trainer.
I can't
Especially if
imagine
you
them
say
wanting
you have to
do
be a
that.
verified. Yeah, and if the text in the store description of the app or whatever, says, in order to subscribe and use the app, you have to, apply and be approved. I don't think people are going to pay for something that they're not going to get approved for. So, but the question remains is, how do you restrict those subscriptions to those people? And the answer is maybe we don't restrict it until we find that we have some significant problem. So that's kind of up to that point, that's kind of the level set on how things are set up and what some of the requirements are, et cetera. So now for the application process, there's a couple prerequisites for the application. The first is that a trainer has to have an active UB Sports account.
Right.
So that means basically they have to sign up for UB Sports and become a member. They must also have a verified profile. So they can't just register and do nothing else. They have to register, to verify their email address, et cetera. They have to go through that whole registration process.
Right.
The question I had then, in order to initiate the application process, is where does the application button or link appear on the website? We have to figure out where that's going to show up. And we have to, one of the things we could do is it may only appear if someone marks their profile as being a trainer for something. But
Right. I think you're right.
a member may not necessarily do that.
Right.
You know, someone who signs up and says, you know, maybe they consider themselves a coach, so they just marked coach and not trainer.
Well, you
Okay,
know,
so you have to have a way.
I did knock down the number of roles to 6, and one of them being a trainer. So if I'm a trainer, I'm going to see that, and then I click it, and it's going to give me choices by JavaScript. One is class trainer, one is athletic trainer, the other one personal trainer. We could there have either another breakout if someone says I'm a class trainer, where it says yoga, TRX, CrossFit, or whatever kind of training they are, and that'll allow us to cater our tool to them. But it puts them all on the FT as opposed to the AT side. If someone says I'm an athletic trainer, that opens up that whole other side. And
Right. So
yeah.
So perhaps the prerequisite will be that they have to self-identify as a trainer.
I'm thinking also if we're going to have an AT and an FT app on Apple Store, and this is where I got I got confused when I was writing my own thing, was if we're going to have an App Store and Google Play Store standalone portal or whatever it is, ad for the AT and the FT apps, then we really have to make sure that just getting in there has a prerequisite of joining UB Sports or pushing people directly into UB Sports with the AT role marked automatically. And then that next question would be, are you officially an AT?
I'm not sure I follow.
Well, I'm wondering, okay, so if we're going to also, okay, how does somebody find our app, the AT app or the FT app? One way, of course, is going to be, it's going to be right on through our application process when they're assigning their role as to who they are, right? The other one is they're going to go onto the Apple Store and they're going to see Athletic Trainer app. And they're going to click that. What do we give this person who is an AT before they've assigned themselves or they've verified that they're
well when they view that app, you know, the description of the app should be, you know, this app requires a subscription and membership to UB Sports, you know, and the language can be such that it wouldn't make sense for someone to even download or try to use it. And even if they do download it, that first screen they get when they open it is going to be a login screen with some language that says, in order to log in, you have to have a UB Sports membership and be a verified trainer, or something along those lines. So
yeah, it's just
I
a
mean, if
matter of
someone
which way it
ignores
goes
that,
first. Yeah.
yeah, but the description in the stores should clearly specify that you have to have a UB Sports membership and it requires a subscription before you can use it. So people aren't just going to download it and say, and even if someone does just download it, they're going to get that login screen. They're not going to be able to log in. And if they happen to be a UB Sports member and try to log in with their UB Sports password, they're not going to be a verified trainer, so it's not going to let them in.
Yeah,
So
I was wondering if
think
there
it's a
should be sort
problem
of,
that
I was wondering if it should be sort of a freemium kind of thing where you get in, you can see that there are facilities. It asks if you do have an athletic trainer, an NATA license. And if not, there should be a click through to the NATA site. So they're getting an interested party onto their site. You know, they're not going to do us any good if they're not an AT for the AT subscription. But if we have them fill out their UB Sports thing, we get a free member and they can take it from there. So maybe that's better.
yeah, I mean, however we work that out, but I don't think if they discover it in one of the app stores, I think it's just the language that we have. I mean, if you want to do something where they download it, and I mean, I'm not sure how you'd kick them out to like NATA from the app, or you know how you would build the app. I mean, you could build it so that they could launch the app and they could see things and just not do anything. But I mean, that's a whole level of complexity beyond just building the app.
Yeah, it is.
So you know, I would say, in the interest of speed and having these apps built, I wouldn't want to go through that process of figuring out how we get that to work. Um, you know, if someone is an athletic trainer, I would imagine that they know that they need NATA accreditation or something along those lines, or should have it, even if they have it, even if they don't have it, that for us to promote it or push it probably is trivial, because they probably know it already, or they've decided at some point in the past that, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't need it for my school because I'm so small.
Right.
You know, I see that as a future phase. We should get the app built, get the functionality built, and then define a way to promote it that way. And maybe you can get some sort of a, you know, profit sharing thing, that if you do push someone to the NATA and they register or something, I don't know if there's fees involved or what's involved there, but you do some kind of sharing with
Yeah,
them.
so it's not cheap. It's a whole process, and it's like courses, literally, like college courses. You're sort of pre-med,
Yes.
you know. So
Yeah. So, you know, in those cases, we could go through that if you feel that that's an important part of it. I don't see that as being a key to the success of these apps.
no, I don't think so either.
So, okay, so I added that the trainer must also self-identify their profile as being a trainer.
Yeah.
That would allow us to figure out that, okay, this person's a trainer, let's offer them those apps. So,
Right.
or the ability to apply to be a verified trainer within UB Sports. The question still remains, where does the application button or link show up? Is that going to be something in the main nav bar? Is it only going to be when they join a group? You know, where is that application button going to be? And remember, if you choose to say it's going to be in the nav bar, for example, or the header, then we have to remember that it's only visible to a small percentage of the population.
To me, it makes more sense to have that as one of the roles that somebody sees when they first join. If I'm an AT, I'm pretty proud of it. I worked hard to get it, and I'm probably going to be looking for tools that I can use as an AT if I'm on the site in the first place. So that's why I thought it was smart to have something like that right up front, so they self-identify as a trainer and then breaking it out from there. Because then we handle both, well, all the training side of things. We handle if you're a coach, number one, that's just a
Well, but I would say, okay, so let's say I go through that profile setup and stuff like that, and I say I'm a trainer, and we offer them the ability to apply, and they say, no, not right now. How do they do it later? Right. So this is a question that we kind of, from a design perspective, have to figure out. Where does this button go? How do we get these person to see the call to action to sign up? Because it's only going to display on the site for trainers, no one else. And it's only going to display if the person has not already been approved as a verified trainer.
right. So they have
Okay.
to. It has to be someplace. There's a place on my my personal page down at the bottom where it has all the sports that I am involved in, what role I play. It might be we need something there. And
Yeah,
then I don't
something
know
on their
how we,
profile page, perhaps. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe it goes on their profile page.
well,
It
it's
says apply to,
that's sort of where it is now.
yeah, so
So
maybe that's where it goes.
we just have to keep reminding people that's how they do it if they needed to.
Right. Okay, so then the application process is line by line. The trainer will access the application through a link or button on the site, which it seems like maybe the profile is where we put it for now.
Okay.
The trainer will complete the application form. The application form will collect certain types of data. The data I can think of, and you might be able to refine this, they're going to give us their name, which we already have.
Right.
We know what their name is already. Their NADA number, maybe there's a state or local license number, the city or state that it's from, the team or the employer. I don't know if that's necessary or worthwhile.
I think it's really
And
important.
then we'll want the ability for them to upload documents. Like if I have to upload a letter from my employer
Right.
that
Or
says
page or
yes,
yeah, license.
yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, what other information would we need to be able to verify an athletic trainer? What other info would we need to verify a fitness trainer? So anyway, we collect that data. We can determine what data that is later. But then the trainer will submit the form. At that point, the application status is set to pending. An application confirmation is sent to the trainer, and that just might be a notification in the app. Doesn't have to be an email necessarily,
Okay.
but it could be. The application request is then placed into a queue, which contains all applications. At that point, excuse me, the admin dashboard, which will display all applications. The admin dashboard will allow you to filter based on status. Those statuses are pending, approved, denied, and canceled. Okay, canceled would be someone's approved, but then their license expires, so we get canceled out. Maybe, actually, if I back up a second, maybe we need an expiration date.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. From the
Okay.
NATA.
And maybe there's a separate status for expired, because that could kind of be automated. Canceled, I'm thinking, okay, you have an athletic trainer like that guy at Penn State that got arrested for abuse.
Yeah.
So you want to go and you want to cancel his
Right.
shit, right?
Uh-huh.
So, maybe there's other reasons you cancel it. Maybe I'm an athletic trainer for some college and I resign, so you cancel it. That kind of thing. But anyway, those are the statuses. The dashboard will allow you to filter that. The most commonly used one, and probably the default view in your dashboard, would be pending, because those are the ones that have to be processed.
Yeah, I think we
Dashboard
might
will
need
allow
two
you.
of them. We might need one that says pending, we have to act, and then pending, waiting for the other person, waiting for the organization to act. So we know that if we didn't send the letter, the email on to the NATA, it's our job to do that at that moment. But if it's just pending, waiting for them to get back to us, that's a different thing. It doesn't require us to act immediately.
Possibly. I had thought about that. I think the status of the application can remain pending, but there would be information on the record on the application that says, Greg Burton comment, I've sent the request off to NATA,
Yeah,
awaiting response. I don't know that necessarily needs to be a status.
it could just be a separate
But it could
dashboard
be.
on
It
that
could be.
admin person's desk.
The dashboard should allow you to be able to search by name, by license number, by NATA number. I'm not sure that searching by city or state, employer or school is relevant at that point. I think the name and those license numbers and stuff are the easiest way to find someone.
As long as we have that
the UB
information
admin-
in their data, we're good.
Right. Well, that's part of the application form, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a UB admin will review and verify the application data submitted, whether that requires you to communicate with NATA, with a school official, with a local gym, whatever it is, a state board, whatever. So an administrative person will have to manually verify this information. And then at some point, an admin will approve or deny the request. If the request is denied, the application status is set to denied, and the system sends a notification to the trainer. Should they think that there was a mistake made in being denied, they would just simply reapply with some additional information or whatever. Okay. If it's approved, the system sets the application status to approved. The system will identify the profile as a verified trainer. So there's some hidden flag, right, that says this is a verified trainer, which is the flag that the system would use to display the functionality and allow them to access the functionality for a trainer. The system will send a notification to the trainer. And at this point, you probably would definitely send an email in addition to, just a notification in the app. And then the system will set the profile to be whatever type of trainer they are. But actually, we've changed it so that the prerequisite is they have to self-identify as a trainer to begin with. So that line goes away.
Okay. I think back to the if denied, there should be a note probably that gets sent to the applicant that says, if you feel this is an error, please provide documentation.
That can be in the notification.
Yeah. Okay.
So when they get the notification, and if we do that notification by email, we can put whatever language we want in there. Right. So we can write that copy later, but the process is that denied, they do get a notification. We just tell them whatever we think we need to tell them. If it's an error, if you want to appeal, just reapply, call us at this number, whatever. Okay. Maybe we even put the reason in, when an administrative person denies the application, maybe they have to put a comment in.
That's what I meant by a note, something like that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're on the same page there. That's good.
Yeah, so let me put that in here. Hold on. If denied, the UB admin adds no as to why application was denied. Now, if it's approved, the system will set the application status to approved. The system will set a flag that they are a verified trainer of whichever type of trainer they are. The system will send a notification to the trainer. That notification, of course, will probably be an email. And in that email, you can promote the apps, promote the trainer group that you want them to join, you know, different suggested groups, whatever you want to do in that email. You know, but you send that notification to them. And if that person's profile is not self-identified as a trainer, we would set that role, okay? But it sounds like what you wanted as a prerequisite is that the trainer must self-identify as a trainer to begin with. So chances are this goes away.
Right, but if
The
you're saying,
dashboard,
if the member says, I'm an AT, do you think we should have something next to it saying pending, or just let it sit as AT, and if they start trying to access the programs, then?
no, I don't think you do that. I think, I mean, if we're going to have a button for them to apply on their profile, perhaps when they do that, there is something on their profile that does not only have the button to apply to become a verified trainer, but number one, if they are verified, that button goes away and we could indicate a status
Right.
and the date it was approved or whatever. We
Uh-huh.
say, you have been, you know, you are a verified trainer. So, you know, maybe you put a badge there, a gold badge, or, you know, whatever. You can do something to indicate that their application status.
Right, we can actually use the NATA logo next to it.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you wouldn't use that for the fitness trainer, but whatever. So something on their profile, there's going to be a section, I guess, on the profile that if they haven't applied, there'll be a link and a call to action to apply. If they
Right,
have applied, it'll indicate the status of their application. Pending, approved, denied, whatever.
right,
The dashboard should also allow an approved application to be canceled.
right.
So that's not really part of the process. It's just an additional feature of that dashboard. And if the application has been canceled, when you cancel one, you would remove the verified identification for that profile,
Right.
which would prevent them from accessing the apps. And then the question that I would defer to you is, do you cancel their subscription and refund them money at that point?
Yeah.
You know, obviously they can't log in. If we cancel their verification and it's no longer approved, they're not going to be able to get into the app.
Right.
Okay. But if you cancel my verification for whatever reason, but I still have 6 months left on my subscription and I bitch to you, are you going to refund me my money? Or part of my money? You know, are you going to
Sure, have to.
so that's a business question to you and a legal question. You know, I don't have a preference one way or the other, whether you keep the money or you give it back or whatever. But anyway, it's something that has to be thought about.
Right. Right. Um,
So I don't know how this fits in with what you kind of wrote up.
It's
Um,
exactly the same
I
thing.
can email you this. I mean, I can email this to you, um, or I could post it kind of as if you want to wordsmith it all, or I could post it right up to Slack so that those guys can kind of review it.
Yeah, why don't you do that, John? It looks real. It's solid. It's, it does everything we need to do. Um, my, it seems like the operational part of this thing is being taken over by the UB Sports app itself. That's what I was sort of getting from that conversation we had 2 days ago.
Yeah, and I think that the trainers will be able to do everything that they can do in the apps within the website and the regular mobile app if they wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, they could just
Um,
start up a group and then run, the same thing where they invite or announce.
and but the question is, if I'm an athletic trainer or a personal trainer and I don't subscribe, like for me to get that functionality within the UB Sports website, do I have to subscribe still? And if so, then it's probably easiest to only put that functionality for the trainers in the trainer apps. In other words, don't give the trainers the ability to schedule a room in the website.
Yeah,
Now,
but
the downside,
how are we going to filter that from the regular person who wants to like the team coach who wants to have a practice and wants to schedule, the practice on a Wednesday night?
well, yeah, because then a trainer can basically say that they're a coach and then they get access to facilities and say, I'm going to reserve this facility and it's for their clients and they're really doing training, you know. Um,
So that's going to be
I
a
mean,
hard call,
to
I
make
think.
to make the subscription to the app worthwhile, you have to have something of value that's not available elsewhere.
Yeah, it might. Well, I think it might be the that the calendaring function. I think calendaring function could be very powerful and more powerful if we work harder at it for the AT app and for the trainer app, because that's really what they want to do. They want to schedule their sessions, and that is
And
less
collect their
necessary for
fees.
somebody who's just I'm the head of a team. I'm not really going to do hour by hour sessions or weekly sessions or subscriptions. I'm just telling the kids to show up on Wednesday nights.
Right.
I don't know. It's a tough. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the business of training.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's hard for me to really say. What I do know is if someone subscribes to the app for the app, that app has to have something of value that's not accessible through the regular website.
Okay, the other part that we were
That's number
planning on,
one.
the other part that we're doing was the resources that we can offer. So it's videos that come from the Athletic Trainers Association, the NATA, that basically says how you remediate and how you rehab injuries, right? Because they have all that information there in their databases. We might be able to find a way to access that information and make that only for athletic trainers.
Right. The the question that I see that needs to be answered is, if you do that only through those apps, that's one thing, and that provides value. If you decide that some of the functionality, such as scheduling resources, should still be available through the website or the regular app, the UB Sports app, how do you restrict some of that functionality to just someone who has subscribed? Right? Like if you're replicating it in both places, how do you restrict it on the website to only someone who has subscribed? You'd have
I
to
don't know the answer.
have some, you'd have to have some APIs that reach out to Apple or Google to look for a valid subscription, and those things aren't easy to do.
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
I've done that stuff, and it's not easy, and it's subject to problems. Like you can't just do a quick lookup for it. Basically, you have to suck that data down on a regular basis, for payments and what the payments were for and stuff like that. And that becomes
Yeah.
really complex. In any case, I'm not so sure that we have to answer these questions until we get into finalizing the specs for the trainer apps. Because as we go through doing the specs for the trainer apps, there's of course going to be corresponding changes that we have to make on the website to satisfy the needs that we have for trainers.
And even to
Okay.
limit stuff.
So yeah, so those are questions that we can answer separately. Maybe we can't wait too long, but that doesn't affect this process. This process still holds,
Yeah, I agree.
right? We are going to have to come up with a decision as to how do we handle access to those things. What is it that makes that subscription valuable? And how much of that functionality that's restricted only to subscribers is replicated in the website as well.
Okay, so if I'm an athletic trainer and I self-identify as one, and I go to the App Store and I go to subscribe, at that point, I'm not really going to know that those tools are available on the site itself.
Well,
I-
hold on. I'm not so sure that you have to subscribe through the store, through the App Store. What if we sent them to our store and they purchase their subscription? And when they do that, we set a flag in our database that they have a valid subscription.
And then they go to the Apple Store just to pick up
Yep.
and they get a registration or
They
something.
go to yeah. Now, I don't know if that violates like your Apple agreement or the Google agreement, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that piece of it. These guys might, the development team might, because they're involved enough in the mobile apps, they might know off the top of their head. We
Right.
can certainly ask Apple and ask Google. But you could potentially do it where they purchase the subscription through our store. We
Right.
set a flag in the database that says they have a valid subscription from this date to this date. Here's your expiration date. So then all they do is download the app to their device. They log in, and in order to log in, we look in our database and say, okay, they're an approved, verified trainer.
Right.
Their status is approved,
Uh-huh.
and they have a valid subscription, and it lets them in. Okay, so I don't know if we have to do the subscription through Apple or Google. I know that there are requirements about subscriptions where Apple says, well, if you're going to sell things through your app and blah, 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 in-app purchases and stuff, it has to go. So I don't know if we would violate any of that and they would then ban our app. If we do it outside of Apple and that's not what they say you should be doing, they're
Yeah.
going to ban your app. right? So we have to do it within that realm. And I'm not sure off the top of my head how exactly we verify that. Um, so in any case, that's for us to look at. But even if they do it through the App Store, back to your point, they go to the App Store, they download the app, they subscribe to the app through the store. They still can't, you can rely then on Apple or Google's infrastructure to identify whether they have a valid subscription. So they're not going to be able to do stuff without it.
Right.
But it would also then be dependent on our database saying that they have an approved application.
Right. And that actually might hold weight itself, because we verified then that the AT is actually, a valid AT.
Right.
I like that. My next call, I've been planning to call all day, is their board of accreditation. There's a special organization at the NATA called the BOC. It's like a sister organization, actually. And I think they can do that automatically. So I'm gonna call them and see if they can give me better light on that and how that works. Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, let's put this up on Slack. It'll give our developers
Yeah, the only concern I would have is, and we can probably handle this in our database, is I don't necessarily see this happening with athletic trainers, because that's much more of a professional thing. But for like a personal trainer, I'm a personal trainer at Crunch Gym. Okay. Well, I have my license, but I have a lot of friends who are also personal trainers, but aren't licensed. They just kind of do it on the side.
right.
Right. They do training on the side. So I want my buddy wants to get approved, but he doesn't have a license number. He doesn't work for a gym. He just goes out and people pay him to teach them how to lift weights or do strength training or, aerobic condition, whatever it is that
Right.
they do.
Uh-huh.
What prevents someone from saying to his buddy, hey, why don't you let me use your license number so I can get approved? Right? Maybe we can only have one member that has a specific license number or NADA number, something like that. But that's where that human intervention comes in. And I see that as a fringe case. I don't know that it's something that would be widespread or, that kind of thing.
I don't think it'll happen with
And
the
it certainly
athletic trainers,
doesn't.
but definitely with the fitness trainers, I can see it happening.
Yeah. And, the only reason that would happen, like if you have to subscribe to use it on a device, like that other person who's not really licensed would have to still subscribe to be able to use that functionality. So I'm not sure how significant of an issue that is. Like what's the ramifications if you approve a fitness trainer who's not really a licensed fitness trainer? I don't know that there is an issue. Right? What happens if you approve an athletic trainer who's not really a licensed athletic trainer? Even though I know some of them don't have that NADA license or NADA ID or registry, whatever. Are there ramifications for approving someone and allowing them to use these features?
Is that something we can disclaim through the the TNC?
It could be. I mean, you'd have to talk to a legal rep to address that. Like, if you have a disclaimer that says, by going through this application process, you're certifying that you are this, that this functionality is only available if you are this, or this.
Right.
Now, is that enough is that enough protection for you as a company? Um, that kind of thing. Let's look at what could be like the worst case scenario is I'm a child molester. So I try to sign up as an athletic trainer so that I can get access to finding underage kids,
Yeah.
right? What are the consequences if someone lies in that application process and you make a mistake and approve them?
Yeah.
I don't
They're
see,
working on
I
somebody
don't
and you
see,
hurt them.
I don't see that as a whole lot different than a child molester just signing up and then sending direct messages to underage kids,
Right.
but there could be. So those kind of issues, how do you put that in a disclaimer? Is that enough? Et cetera. So, those are things that, we're going to need a lawyer to kind of look at. What exactly do we have to do here? What is what are our obligations? What are the potential consequences? How do we protect ourselves, et cetera? Again, very fringe cases, but those are the situations that you have to look for.
Right. All right.
You don't want a child molester to sign up and join the US gymnastics page as a fan and then
Right.
start viewing pictures and things of all the underage gymnasts, right? Now, you can't particularly stop that. Maybe in order to join the US, maybe the US gymnastics team has protections that they have to approve you to join the page or something. I mean, that gets complicated because how do you identify that someone's really a parent or not, whatever. So, but those are kind of, so there's situations that we can't even protect ourselves from, just like other sites can't protect them. Facebook can't stop somebody from signing up and starting to view teenage girls.
No, they can't.
Facebook doesn't have, right? So those, these are fringe cases, but we need to make sure that we're protected if there are certain types of obligations that we have in that disclaimer or whatever we have.
So this is why it's important for me to make sure that we're connecting the relationship between the kids and the parents if they're under 17.
Right.
And it's really critical because we don't want someone predating, and we want to actually not allow an underage kid to get to certain portions of the site, nor to make friends with people who might be predators that we don't know about. Because that, right, just that connectivity makes it dangerous for us, and we have to make sure that we're covered. I think the only way we can do it, say like for a 16 or under, just have a parent be available to oversee, I think might give us enough protection. That's another question for McGreevy. We're back to that, the HIPAA question or the COPA question.
Right.
How do we go? Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna wordsmith through my document. Cool. And I'm gonna post it up in Slack for developers.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Great, good job. I mean, I only got up halfway through this and I was like, I'm stunk. I don't know where to go from here. So I'm glad you took it on.
It's a little more, I mean, it's straightforward, but there's a lot of different pieces to it.
Yeah. I think we might end up
being a good starting.
I just think it might also end up being a good background for a school who's looking for an athletic trainer. They can look through our directory of ATs. Anyway, they have their own directories for that kind of stuff. Without be duplicating their work. But right now, we just got to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the ATs on the site with the scheduling and stuff. So,
Right.
okay, so I'm gonna call the BOC and see if I can get a handle on any technology they have so we can check registrations. I'll do that right now.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Have a great weekend.
Good. See you later.
Okay, bye.
You too. Bye.